The Eagle Point Cemetery is expanding.
Today, it announced it had purchased 9 additional acres. Newswatch 12's Rachel Teedy introduces us to the man who sold the property to the cemetery and tells us why that land is so important.
Veterans are buried here from across the years, but the cemetery hopes that the land just beyond the fence behind me, if you can make it out in the dark, the cemetery hopes that with that land, they won't have to worry about buying additional plots for at least another generation. Roger Thalaker is a retired utility arborist and lives just east of the cemetery.
I just retired 1 year, 3 weeks ago. And what a time it just worked into the plan.
He sold about 9 acres to the Eagle Point National Cemetery to help it expand. He says the cemetery has approached him several times about buying this property, and Roger says now was the right time.
Kids are out of the house, got their own families, and didn't need 15.5 acres. So we're at about 5.5 now, scaled it down to there. Perfect, enough room for the animals.
The cemetery will use his 9 acres to expand, but that won't be for a while. It expanded in 2016 and plans to start burying there in about 2 years. This will last them for about 20 years, and that's when Roger's land will come into play. You can see his property marked on this map with red X's, but the cemetery says it's better to plan ahead now than run out of space.
The last thing you want is to be waiting at the last minute and then run out of space. That would not be good.
Andrew adds this land will allow them to help veterans for the next 50 to 60 years, and the addition will allow for 11,000 more grave sites. Even though using the property is still a ways off, crews will start leveling and getting the land prepped, land that used to belong to Roger's sheep and llama. That's something Roger says the persnickety llama is getting used to, but selling the land was still the right call.
They honor their veterans. I appreciate that, being here and seeing what happens. You know, I'm so close to them.
Now, the cemetery purchased the land for about $200,000, and some of you may be familiar with the addition they added on in 2016. So take a look at this map that I drew up today. The X's, like I mentioned, that is the new property that's just behind me. This circle down here, that is the 2016 addition, so you can see where they are in relation to one another. The director here says he is forever thankful to the landowners who continue to sell him their land. Otherwise, this cemetery would not be able to continue. Live in Eagle Point, Rachel Teedy, Newswatch 12.